The moon and the red star next to it, known as Metia, was found in so many shots in the trailers and during the game, such as the very first thing that players see. It is heavily implied that they would both be significantly important to the story, as if it was foreshadowing something, but in the end, it just didn't seem that way at all. It wasn't the God's eye watching over fate. We didn't go to the moon for the final battle. For me and for many others, we've been feeling sort of let down by this. But I refused to give up on finding the meaning. I know it is important. They wouldn't show it so many times. They wouldn't have opened the game with it. I think Creative Business Unit 3 wanted us to search for it, and I think I found it. So, it all begins, my quest to find the meaning begins with the scene of Clive and Jill outside of Lady Hannah's house because of the overbearing guilt that, Clive feels as responsible for her husband's death during Phoenix Gate. Clive reaches for the moon and he says, 13 years of killing. And I'm going to walk you through this. 13 years without the faintest glimmer of hope. He reaches up and look how the camera is angled here. It is framed with purpose. Clive reaches up and his fingers close in as if he is grabbing the moon from the sky. And he brings his hand back in. And when he brings his hand back in, he opens it up. And what's inside? Well, it's the Phoenix's flame, and framed in the background within Clive's hand is Jill. And okay, so this is where the whole entire video is going to go. I believe that the moon and Metia symbolize hope. Joshua could still be alive. That is a hope for Clive. Jill is his new hope that he has found right next to him. So ironically, when Clive says that without the faintest glimmer of hope, he pulls the moon from the sky, and within it is hope. So, with that being said, a little later on in here, under the same moon and star, the same scene, Jill talks about how she also has gone through a lot. She has also been searching for her hope. She was forced to kill as a slave for the Iron Kingdom against her will. She had lost all hope, as she had told Clive that she wanted to end it all. She wanted to die. And when Clive and her battle each other, unbeknownst to them, they didn't know who they were fighting against. But when you win that battle, you can hear Jill go, finally. Like she wanted it to be over. But she finds Clive. And then she says at the end of this scene, which is very important, you came back to me. The heavens must have a plan for us. That's hope. That is hope. Okay, so with all of that in mind, with hope in mind as the symbolism for the moon and Metia, let's go back through all the times that the moon and Metia appear in Final Fantasy 16. Well, we got to go back to the opening, don't we? So let's go back to the opening. Now, it starts with Clive narrating and kind of setting up the world that we know. And he says, yeah, what they saw in the light gave rise to temptation. He's setting up a bleak world. This is a bleak world that you're about to get into. But he says at the end of this, and thus did our journey begin. This is a journey of hope. This is a journey to bring a new hope to the world. So we have this scene right here. Now this is the part where I took me a little bit of searching here. It took me a little bit of searching, but when Ifrit does this, and he does it again later on in the game. I don't have that video clip when Ifrit is finally emerged and the moon is framed right behind him. And again, right here at the beginning of this game, the moon and Metia framed in the scene. Now you might be thinking, well, This doesn't seem very hopeful. You know the events of Phoenix Gate. It's a kind of a tragedy. But I kind of just had to figure a way around this. If you think about it, though, the emergence of the second icon of fire, the emergence of Ifrit. Ifrit would become the catalyst of hope. Ifrit is, like, his appearance, we don't know it, little do we know it now, as he's going to murder a lot of people and almost his brother, but he is going to be what brings hope later on in this game. So that's what I got out of that one. And then we got to go over to young Clive and young Jill speaking underneath of the moonlight. This is also where Metia was mentioned by name by Jill. Like, like I said, it seems like they're setting up something very important here, but this one's kind of self-explanatory. But the thing that I want you to pay attention to is that Jill is the one who calls out the star, calls out Metia, not the moon, but Metia. So very important to Jill is Metia. And she basically says a prayer for Clive's safe return. She wants him to, she hopes that Clive will return home to her. That's pretty self-explanatory there. Now let's go over to Benedicta. The moon and Metia, also kind of like how it's a crescent moon, which kind of goes along with what I'm saying. But this one in particular, Benedicta knows that Clive is behind her, but she doesn't even she's still looking at the moon and Metia here. Clive is readying for attack, and she's still kind of staring at the moon and Metia. The reason why is because her mind is on the hope that Sid would have come back for her. That Sid was here to be together again with her. So she was hoping for that. And I kind of like how it was a crescent moon, because it's kind of showing that hope is going away. And you can see the visual of it right here, where she turns away from hope. She turns away from hope there. So there's no more hope left for Benedicta. She is no longer hoping for Sid to return, and you can see when somebody loses hope, well, we know what happens to Benedicta after that. All right. Let's see where... Oh, and then of course, we talked about the scene outside of Lady Hannah's house. That's the next time Moon and Metia appear. The last time the Moon and Metia are shown is right here at the end of the game, where Clive washes up on shore and he is gazing at the moon. And then we have Jill as she watches the light of Metia disappear. She cries, a new dawn rises, and she smiles. Well, in order to understand what exactly is happening here, let's take a look at the two theme songs of Final Fantasy XVI, Moon Gazing and My Star. Both are songs of hope. But here's an interesting interpretation. I believe that Moon Gazing is from the perspective of Clive about Jill, whereas My Star is from Jill's perspective about Clive. The moon is Clive's symbol of hope, where Metia is Jill's symbol of hope. Now I want to take a look at the lyrics, and we'll start with Moon Gazing. Moon Gazing. All right. In the moonlight, the willow sways. On this roadside, I am but a stone. A willow tree symbolizes new beginnings and hope. And that is coming from richardlewis.com, symbolism of the willow tree. But it symbolizes new beginnings and hope. On this path to new beginnings, the road to new beginnings for Valisthea, Clive feels like he's just another stone by the roadside. In other words, this hope for a new world, a better world, is greater than just his life. Visions of you come to me like counting sheep. Clive is thinking of Jill in his final moments here. If there is any meaning to our parting ways, then you need not be sad. From the silence to the distant sky, Fill your heart with an unwavering love. No matter what night, no matter the cost, haven't we been living this life together as if in the blink of an eye? So Clive is thinking about the larger picture here, the bigger picture. Although the love that he and Jill share while alive is brief, it is undying. It is forever. Even if he is not, his love for her will always be there. It will go on. I was yearning for something, gazing at the moon. I was afraid of the storm when you appeared before me, and I'm so glad it was you. It's as if nothing before this moment ever mattered. This flame will never go out, ever. Clive was yearning for hope. He needed a reason to be alive at a time when he felt he didn't deserve to live. After what happened at Phoenix Gate, all the people he killed, the burden he carried with him, vanished once he found Jill. Once again, when he opened his hand, there was Jill. She gave him purpose, a spark that would light the flame of hope within him. If the wind knocks on your window, leave it ever so slightly ajar. There's only one, an unutterable voice screaming out. Somehow, if we were to be reborn, unable to remember, somehow I know I'd still find you. This is just Clive's way of saying to Jill that even after my death, I will still be with you. Listen closely and you'll hear my voice, an unutterable voice calling out to her. This means it's impossible to explain to someone, but you know, right? And Jill will know it's Clive. So when you hear the wind blow, maybe his voice will be in the wind. In the post-credit scene, the mother of the boys leaves the window open. I'll come back to that later. I was burning everything gazing at the moon. Even though I might have been pitied for it, I was happy as long as you were there. Even though we might have been wrong about so much, we will never disappear. Call my name just one more time, with that soft voice that envelops me so gently. Guided by the moonlight, I seized a branch, and that branch was you. God, so good, man. This whole verse pairs up with that scene outside of Lady Hannah's house. When Clive was reaching up at the moon, he seized it in his hand, he opened it, and there she was, framed in the background within his hand. So as Clive is dying, he wants to connect with her one more time through looking at the moon. The same moon that Jill is looking at miles away. Now, the Ultimania explains that their explanation of the moon in Metia was as simple as saying that the moon in the sky is what connects all, no matter where they are in life. So that was kind of the one line for them. And then Metia was a wishing star. So I've gone deeper. But yeah, so basically Clive on a shore looking at the moon is connected with Jill one more time. And that's the end of that song. But here's the thing. If you pair up moon gazing and My Star next to each other, they are literally singing the ending of this game. This is Clive on the beach. This song is Clive on the beach. And then Jill hears this song, I think. Like, she can kind of hear Clive calling out to her. So she runs out. This is why Jill bolts out the door. And she goes to see the moon in the sky. Now, this is when My Star starts playing. My Star goes... Starlight, say goodnight. Star bright, where have you fallen? Starlight, say goodnight. Star bright, I hear you calling. So there you go. So Jill's hearing Clive calling through the song Moon Gazing. Moon Gazing goes hand in hand. Clive is calling out to Jill. Jill rushes to the balcony as if she can hear him. Fire, oh fire that filled the night. Fire that warmed and brightened my life. My guiding light. On high, my hearth, my beacon, my hope. My hope. Clive was Jill's hope when she was in a dark place. She was forced to kill against her will. She also felt a tremendous amount of guilt for it, just as Clive did. So she wanted to end her life. In Metia, like as I said before, she was ready to accept death, but she thought that would free her from this burden that she carried. But little did she know, she soon would be free of this burden. Well, at least the burden lifted, but not by death, but through Clive, her light in the darkness, a fire to warm her cold heart, a fire to guide her, and most notably, hope. A sky of scattered tears, 1,000 years apart. Should they fade, I will not be afraid of the dark, for your flame still burns inside me, deep within my heart, showing me a new tomorrow, never too far. Well, this is pretty much her response to Clive's moon-gazing song, that no matter how much this hurts, how sad she is, she knows that their love is undying. And Clive's flame, symbolized through Metia, that guided her and gave her hope throughout this game, may not be seen anymore, but that's okay. His light, his hope, his love lives on within her. And with every dawn of a new day, she can smile, knowing that it was Clive who brought that peace and hope to her and the world. And when I cannot bear the pain, I'll look up to the sky and pray that though our night is over, you shall always remain forever my treasure, my star. These lyrics are so good, man. Jill is also speaking of the brief time that they had together. It will always be painful to live on without him, but she will always feel connected to him. The Ultimania explains once again that the sky is what connects all, no matter where they are. So Jill need only to look to the sky, and the star that used to burn bright is now in her heart. So this explains the symbolism of Metia disappearing in the end. It's now within her. The star is, her star is in her heart. So that is what I've come up with for the symbolism of the moon and Metia. God, those lyrics, man, they kind of got to me a little bit, to be honest with you. Oh gosh. All right, so there it is. Thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know what you think. Did you get a different interpretation? Did I kind of bring something new to the table? I really hope I did. Maybe a better appreciation for this, because to be honest with you, I was struggling with it myself. Like, I was like, man, this is kind of gypped us on this. No way this was a red herring. No way. Like, it seems way too important. And with the two theme songs of the game, I mean, moon gazing and my star, like, it is extremely important to Clive and Jill. And I think I figured out why. It is their symbol of hope. So there you go. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching. Take care now. Bye-bye then.